Hello everybody, my name is Star Raptor and welcome to the channel. This is my review for Star Wars Wayseeker. This is a tie-in for the Acolyte and it's actually part of the High Republic era of storytelling in Star Wars. This one focuses on Vernestra Rwoh as well as Indara from the Acolyte series. This one, by the way, is written of course by Justina Ireland, who invented the character of Vernestra Rwoh, so it's nice to come along full circle with this one. I will be talking mild spoilers, not about any characters specifically from the High Republic, so we're going to get into it. So this takes place about 20 years prior to the Acolyte series, which in the timeline I think puts it around 80 years after the Trials of the Jedi book for the High Republic era. So Vernestra is quickly approaching the age of a ripe old 100 years old, so that's where we are in the timeline. And what this one deals with is Vernestra getting summoned by the Jedi Council to come back from her way-seeking trip. So a Wayseeker Jedi is a Jedi that kind of goes out on their own to listen to the Force from within and not really deal with the politics of the Jedi and the Republic, and they're out there to really help people. And she's been doing that for about 10 years. Indara at this point is a Jedi Knight for about a year, and this is her first real big mission, is to go out and retrieve Vernestra, who has been dodging the calls of Jedi like Yaddle, for instance. So the reason why this story revolves so heavily around Vernestra and all this is stuff that has come up from the High Republic Phase 1, actually. And this is just one little minor spoiler to a certain item. So if you're okay with that, stay on board with the video. The nullifier, if you remember that was a device that would turn off lightsabers, and it was at the Valo Fair right before that all went down with the Nihil. So it's cool that we pick up with that loose plot thread that we haven't ever been, has never been addressed in any of the other High Republic books. So apparently 80 years later, these things are popping up on the market again. There is this arms dealer named Nilsson, and he is the one that is trying to mass produce these things, which is a very bad thing for Jedi, because what a nullifier does is it actually will deactivate any lightsabers in proximity to this thing. So they're trying to mass produce these things, and which will be obviously very bad for the Jedi. So that's what the story really comes down to, is Indara, is Vernestra getting embroiled into this mystery of trying to figure out like where this guy is, because at its heart, this story is a mystery, but it's also kind of a cool mob story, because this Nilsson guy, spice addict, right? This is the Star Wars version of cocaine, I guess you could call it. He is going around, anybody that is getting caught, with this stuff is basically information with him is going to be off like the mafia. So I really like that villain aspect of, this is a very violent story, very dangerous story, and the villain is not a Force sensitive or anything like that, but he just has a gripe against the Jedi, and he wants to make a quick buck. So we have that going on there. What I also like is how sprawling the story is. There's a lot of planets we visit. Some of these planets we've actually been to in some of the stories of the High Republic, which is really neat, and that's a big positive for me, is how much this feels like a true epilogue to the High Republic. I mean, we are on the eve of the release, basically, of the final High Republic book, but this book does a good job with kind of bringing the themes of the High Republic forward 80 years, as well as different characters mention different ideas that were brought in from the High Republic. So if you're not going to read this book, before Trials, this would be a very good book to read after Trials, because it's going to give us that good comprehension of what happened all the way back then. So it's really good with that there as well. But then we're getting into the overall scope of this Star Wars story, where it exists. I would feel like this feels more like a High Republic book and less than a Acolyte prequel. I think you're still going to enjoy this book if you're not a High Republic reader, but you're going to get so much more out of it if you've read most of the High Republic stuff, especially with Vernestra Rwoh. Now, getting into the negatives, I will feel like this felt weird as far as the perspective. So you would have Vernestra Rwoh written in the first person's perspective, but then Indara and the villain would be written in a third person perspective. So I've never quite read a book like that. So that just kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Also, I would have liked a little bit of a deeper dive into the exploration of the Jedi without the reliance on a lightsaber. Yes, it was addressed, but I feel like this story could have been even richer if we got into that headspace just a little bit more. And finally, this book was very short, at just about 250 pages long for an adult novel. I'm used to these things being, at least 350 to 500 pages. So I don't know. I mean, it was a good story overall. I still think that it was fulfilling. It was satisfying, but I just thought that was a little bit strange there. But with that being said, I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. Again, if you are spoiler averse with the High Republic, you don't want to know the fates of certain characters. And these characters, I will say, they are more of like the secondary characters of the High Republic. So you're not going to get spoiled on any of the big names if they're surviving. You're not going to get spoiled on Marchion Ro's fate, on the Nile's fate, any of that. So I would say for most people, you're going to be safe to read this thing if you don't want to wait until after Trials of the Jedi. I would say go ahead, give it a read. But if you really don't want to know anything, probably just wait on this one. But what did you guys think of this review for Wayseeker? Are you planning on reading this one? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on the High Republic, I've reviewed so much, if not all of the High Republic at this point, so make sure you go ahead and check out that content if you want to see just random thoughts about those stories. All right, so that's good for me, Starper. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.